You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast on Digital Stream Radio.
I'm home, but my heart is still away. I just keep thinking, could I really move away from the U.S.? Where would I go, and how could I make it work? I'm thinking out loud and willing this into reality. So stick around. Hey, everyone. You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candace. Now let's start the show. Hey!
Hey. How are you,
I'm good.
Candace?
I'm so good. Let's start with this truly black cherry. I've never had this flavor before, and it really just hit me like in the corner of your tongue. You know, you just start salivating. Yes, it's just a whole lot all at once. I like it. It's not bad.
So anyway, it is Thursday. It has been 3 weeks since Candace has been in the studio. She was away.
So long.
And so you guys
Maybe
know
more.
that. I know, right?
Maybe more.
So you guys do know that we record the Breezy Moms podcast every Thursday here in the Digital Stream Radio studios. And it's been quite the whirlwind because we have been intercontinental podcasting.
We really have been. But I feel right at home. I'm here tonight and I'm wrapped up in the blanket because it's freezing as always.
Well, you know me.
I feel like my body temperature changed because I was in Ghana long enough that now this cold feels really cold. But it is welcome because it's pretty warm in Ghana.
Yes.
Although, one more caveat, if you're going to go to Ghana, August is a good time to do it because it apparently it was right at the end of rainy season, so it wasn't as hot. Like, I've been in December before, and December is hot. But August, it was nice and cool in the shade, and with the fans running in the house, it really was amazing.
That's awesome. So you were in Ghana.
I was.
So
I guess we should let's start.
Let's start by giving people a little bit of background. You are not Ghanaian, but you married a Ghanaian.
I did.
And so by de facto now you are, in essence, Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Right? Your children.
My children are Ghanaian and my husband is Ghanaian, and he and I look very much alike. So it's possible that way back somewhere we are somewhere from West Africa. It makes me, having been there, I really want to do the
23andMe
or Ancestry or one of them. It'd be kind of interesting. To
where.
see exactly where, especially having gone to Cape Coast Castle, which is one of the castles that were used during the slave trade, where like everybody leaves from. It's just this really humbling and like excessive experience that is very weighty, and it feels like the ancestors are walking with you while you're through there. So I'm certain that my people from somewhere came from there, even though my mom's family is from Belize. Like, it's all the same people. You just get off the boat, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, like it's all along the same route. So
let's talk about very quickly, if you don't mind, about this castle. So this was one of many that were set up throughout the entire western coast of Africa, and during
ports and stuff
during the slave trade.
Mm-hmm. We're just going to go right in heavy. We're going to start this episode in heavy. That's how we do it.
It's because we always know, slaves came from Africa, but you don't know the history behind the structures and buildings and forts that exist on coastal Africa, and in a place like, for example, Ghana, where you have this castle and where people were walking through these gates and boarding these ships and
never going home.
Knowing or not knowing possibly that they were never going to come back.
Yeah. It's Cape Coast Castle and Elmina Castle. They're two castles. Elmina is the bigger one, but it's basically, these are the two places where all of the enslaved people were sort of funneled through. So they'd get them from wherever they were coming from, and they would come through these castles and be sorted in various ways, and then would end up on a ship coming to the Americas or anywhere along the path. So it's like most of the people were going through these two castles.
Wow.
Even though they were coming from all over West Africa and other places.
It's incredible to see that you have these reminders.
Yeah.
When you go, and sort of kind of put things into perspective.
And part of in the tour at Cape Coast Castle, part of the conversation is there's the reason why we maintain this place, right? Like they could have torn it down, I guess, or they could board it up and not let you in. But part of the reason why they maintain places like that is so that you don't forget, and so we can have an ongoing conversation about it and talk about the people who were involved, sort of orchestrating it, and then also the people who were trying to stop it. So
what's that
it's
term?
Really,
if you forget history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah. So it's really heavy, and Cape Coast is an interesting place. We actually didn't get to see a ton. It's a city in Ghana. We didn't get to see a ton of Cape Coast itself because it takes a while to get there from the capital. And if you don't set out early enough, then you really only have enough time to see one place and then not much more of the town. So
the capital is Accra?
Accra, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the capital is Accra, and that's where we spent most of our time. And then we were able to do a day trip to Cape Coast. It's generally a 2-hour trip, but it ended up being about 4 hours given the time of day you leave and traffic and all of that stuff. And then we also visited Kumasi, which is where my mother-in-law is from. So my father-in-law is from Accra and my mother-in-law is from Kumasi, and that is about 4 hours away, and again took us about 6 hours to get there
because of the traffic
and the time of day you leave. And everyone told us we should fly, but because we were traveling with so many people, we thought it made more sense to drive. I think I will never drive again. Like if I can avoid it, I will never drive again, because it's apparently a half an hour flight if you can get on a plane.
Well, how much was the flight?
I don't even know. We didn't even look into it because of how many people we were going with and how much stuff, So I think next time, definitely, whatever it takes, we'll make sure that we can fly.
Well, I'll tell you, in my experience, especially flights like intercity or
mm-hmm. Local domestic
flights are very cheap.
Yeah, I know.
Like, in Europe, you can fly from,
like the same amount as a train ticket.
Yeah, for like $25-$30.
We should have done it. We really should have done it. But sometimes you think that the amount of time it's going to take to plan and coordinate is more than just getting in a car. And so we didn't. But next time, for sure.
Get to the airport.
Definitely.
Oh, look, there's an available plane. Can we hire you? Let's everybody get on and just jump over, because it really, like, half hour compared to 4 or 6 is
in the car. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It was an interesting thing, but we got to see, on the bright side, we got to see a lot of 6 hours of traveling. We got to see a lot of different towns along the route to Kumasi and along the route to Cape Coast. Basically like towns that are just built up around this route because they know that so many people are driving through there. And so traffic builds up because it's like a market has built around the highway, and you're driving through an actual market, and they're trying to sell you stuff through the windows. And you're looking at like dried anteaters, like smoked anteaters are being sold on the edge of the street, or pottery, like really cool pottery. I really wanted to stop, but it was already 6 hours, so I couldn't stop and buy anything.
I think they would have been like, she must be dealt with. We must chop her down.
No. They just didn't want. We couldn't stop anymore, because every stop that we made, we probably stopped two or three times. But with we had 2 cars, and so many people going to the bathroom, it's like a half an hour addition, of wait time. So
yeah. So you were there. Yeah, you were sporting some amazing, attire. Can we talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, let's talk about Ghanaian fashion.
Fashion was okay. So the whole family got together and they had these matching outfits, and it was life. So really tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, not our whole like extended family, just the 4 of us. Mm-hmm. I went to the market. There's a video on our page about, me going to the market and trying to manage and maneuver buying stuff in the market. And again, for those of you who heard last week's episode, we talked a little bit about this last week, but this is my first time seeing Tommy in studio.
I know, and I'm excited.
So we're like doing it all over again.
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay because I really I'm not really home yet. I'm still on WhatsApp talking to all the cousins and and all the aunties. Like I'm really not back yet. I'm just going through the motions and I'm having a good time at home, but really I could be in Ghana. Like if I could close my eyes and wake up there right now, it would be fine. I would be absolutely fine with it. So anyway, I went in preparation. We were having a party. It was the first time in a long time that all three of the kids, James and his two sisters and his mom, were back at home. And so it was basically like a family reunion. And one thing that I can't forget is that Uncle Michael said, which Uncle Michael has been on the show before. Mm-hmm. He said that so many times when family gets together like this, it's around a funeral. It's around death. Somebody has died. Someone's really ill. Like something is going on. This is the first time that such a big gathering has happened for a fun occasion. You know, like just on a good note.
Was Uncle Michael there?
Yeah, Uncle Michael came.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so actually, everybody has been on the show. Uncle Michael came, Paula came, David came, his wife Nicole came, who's from Cinema Therapy. Everybody was there. It was absolutely incredible. And so, what I was laughing at is because it was one of the aunties made a flyer for the event, and it was an Aikens family reunion hosted by the Dormans. And so the Aikens are my mother-in-law, and the Dormans is like the father's family. So because mother-in-law was there, her whole family like came, but it's also we're the Dormans. So my father-in-law was sending all of his people, like, make sure that you're entertaining and welcoming all of the Dormans. So it was a very interesting and cool way to see both sides of James's family, his mom's side and his dad's side. And they were all just incredible and welcoming, and especially to us. And then because I was there for so long, I really I'm still talking to a cousin now, and it just feels like it feels weird that I'm not there anymore because I had been there for so long. And we're only talking, we were there for 23 days, but that's a long time for a vacation. Usually you max out at 7. You know what I mean?
By the 7th day, you're ready to come back. And
no, this was incredible. And it makes me think a lot about how different it is to experience a new place living in a home setting. So I totally, rather than a hotel, which made me, Airbnb has been a thing for a very long time, but I really didn't appreciate it until now, right? Because living in a house in town, and like shopping and all of that stuff, like a regular person, not in a hotel, is a totally different vibe and a totally different feeling. And I really think like the next step for Airbnb should be like hosting families. Like I should be able to bring my kids and go live with a family for 3 weeks anywhere in the country. I don't know who can jump on that idea, but
well, Candace,
someone should be able
dreamed it up, do it.
To organize because I feel like you do a lot. People are familiar with exchange students, right? Mm-hmm. One student will come from wherever and come and stay with a family. I would like to take my whole family and go live with another family, and you sort of know that you're a little bit safe and protected. You know what I mean? But also living like a regular person there, not just like an ordinary, like your everyday normal person. Right. Like you're literally going into somebody else's space, somebody else's culture, somebody else's way of living, and you're seeing and you're interacting, you're exchanging, ways of doing things. Like, for example, the party, first of all, was amazing. The music was great. It was really
Everybody
good.
was dancing.
Bumping.
Candace, it was amazing. But one of the things that I noticed is, that you didn't have a washer and dryer where you were. So you had to do laundry.
Yeah.
And they have this little system. And
to be fair, I only did it once. Someone else did it for us all the other times.
I was in awe.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Me too.
And for you to record and share that experience with your viewers on the Breezy Moms podcast page on Facebook, and talk about it on shows like for example, this or your previous episodes that you recorded on your own. She was cheating on me this one. She had her own little thing going out, but that's okay. But it's a beautiful thing.
And what I was thinking about a lot while I was there and while we were doing a lot of recording, I guess I should preface this by saying part of James's dad didn't get to go. And so part of making sure that he felt included, James got us all on Marco Polo. And the whole time is very meticulously captured on Marco Polo in a way. And then I think there are 56 people in our group on Marco Polo. And so that was a way to make it so that my father-in-law really felt like he was there. People were in the videos talking directly to him, or we were just videoing what was going around. So it feels like you were there. And that's not public. That's just for our family.
What's Marco Polo?
So Marco Polo is one of these social video sharing sites. I had never heard of it before this summer, but it's like Facebook Live without any of the other stuff, right? Like
Nice.
it's just all videos. And so you just go on to Marco Polo and you record a video, and whoever is in your
group can see
your
it.
group can see it.
Nice.
And everybody in the group can do videos. So at one point we actually had 2 or 3 people Marco Poloing the same event or like the same outing. And so when you watch the videos in succession, you get to see a different angle.
That's awesome.
It was actually really cool. But I think my father-in-law really appreciated that because it felt like he was there, and there are people there talking on the videos that he hasn't seen in person in so long, and talking to him in their native language. Like, it was just a really, really cool thing. But I said all of that to say that when I was recording a lot of these things, like the laundry, right, or we did some with cooking or at the market, they're regular everyday things, and the people I was recording were like, why is this interesting to you? But I was trying to make sure that I wasn't like, I didn't want those videos to feel exploitive, like I've seen some videos and it looks like, oh, you're going into like a native place and people are doing stuff like in this weird way that you can't appreciate. But I really wanted to make sure that people saw that it was like, I wasn't trying to be a voyeur while I was there. I was really trying to do like, I could have sat back and let other people wash my clothes, but like, that's not cool.
But you were also trying to immerse. You were immersed in the experience, right?
Yes. And making sure that they felt comfortable. Some people don't feel comfortable on camera, and so those people weren't on camera. But the other ones who were more than happy to kind of talk about their different experiences. My favorite part of talking to so many aunties and cousins is how many of what's funny?
Your mouth is so juicy. I thought
really
you said
is.
the C word.
No,
like
aunties and cousins. So is that so many of them have their own businesses and are running their own, like doing their own thing. And I think part of that is through like necessity, right? The way that the economy is set up, like you either get a job or you make a job. And so many of them have made their own way. James's aunt is a doctor and has her own clinic. Another woman is a cousin is a seamstress and made the jumpsuit that I was wearing that everybody liked, and wedding gowns and all kinds of things. Someone else owns a hair salon, and in my mind, it's like, well, there's so many hair salons, but it's still, you have your set of clients and you're going to make it work the way that you need to make it work. So I was just in awe of these women of all different ages and all different stages of their businesses. And I was just getting so much like inspiration and joy from watching them do their thing. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here trying to like survive in this heat.
Was it like hot, humid hot, or hot, bearable?
So this is the first time that I'll say when people say, oh, the heat is not the same as a dry heat versus before I was like, heat is heat, right? But here, this humidity is suffocating. The like East Coast humidity is suffocating.
Yeah.
It wasn't very humid there. It was humid when it rained, but it didn't rain that often because rainy season had been over. So it was hot, but like I said, I have visited before in December, and the December heat is like, take a bath and start sweating before you dry off. But the August heat is like hot, but go sit in the shade and cool off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so it's bearable.
It's bearable. It's definitely bearable. Like, people are wearing jeans and stuff. And I was telling you, I couldn't understand why people were wearing so much clothes. Like, you walk around and people are dressed to the nines, like 3-piece suits, outfits and head wraps, jeans, baggy jeans, sweatpants, boots, like Ugg boots, all kinds of stuff. And I'm just going, I can't, I'm hot. I'm combusting just looking at you. But I'm not acclimated to that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not accustomed to that kind of heat, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
And part of covering up is protects you from the sun.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand how it works, but it seemed to be working for them. So kudos to them.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that, you know, that whole notion that people think that when you move somewhere, eventually you get used to it.
No, you don't.
And you don't.
Mm-mm.
I
You're
mean,
either born or not. It's either in you or it's not.
Exactly. So when I was young, my mother picked us up and just moved us to Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
It's an island in the Caribbean. It gets very hot
and humid,
super humid, and the mosquitoes are like airplanes.
Yep.
And so I am by nature allergic to mosquito bites.
Yeah, me too.
They welt up really bad. They get really bad. And so I was constantly living on cream, like some sort of cortisone cream, some sort of, I was constantly covered in it. And there's nothing worse than being covered in cortisone cream and sweating your balls off and having it like literally like come down, and because you have to like bathe yourself in it. And
I've got calamine lotion on my legs right now.
And it's like, ooh, and you know, and I constantly, like in school, you had to have uniforms, so you couldn't wear shorts. It was long gray pants with a white shirt that had like a little collar. So it was one of the, what do you call those shirts? The ones with the logos on them. A polo. It's like a polo white shirt with long pants. And I'm like, are you people crazy? And so the only ones that were allowed to wear short pants or something short were the women, because they wore skirts.
Right.
In the school colors. And I would look at them and I'd be like, oh my God, I wish I had that skirt on right now, because it was really bad. And it's just, you know, you just have to deal with it. And then when I hit 13, I was like, Ma, you know what?
I can't.
I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go live with my grandmother in Connecticut. And she's like, okay, well, you know, if she says yes, I won't say no.
Oh my God.
And,
well, that brings me to, I think I want to go. I feel like I should go somewhere.
Yeah.
I never thought that I could actually move away and live somewhere else. But after this trip, I legit think I could. I don't know if maybe it feels like you'd say, okay, I'll go and I'll give it a year. And then like 10 years, 20 years would go by and you're like, oh, I'm never going, you know, like it wouldn't even occur to me to come back.
Yeah.
But it really felt like such a thing I could do. And then I ran into a woman that I went to school with that I didn't know very well, but you know, just through being alum, you have like a set of like a sense of familiarity. And she lives in the Bay Area, but she went back for the summer and she enrolled her kids in summer school there. And she's actually thinking about having them enroll in regular school there this month or next month. Like she's going to up and move from the US, and both of them are Ghanaian. And actually, tune in because she'll be on the show hopefully in a couple of weeks. But, just this idea that like, I feel like the general consensus is, oh, everybody's trying to get to America, you know, like you want to get to the US. Everything is better in the US. And maybe that was the case, but I don't think it's currently is. And I think especially in the climate that we're in now and just the way things are going, which isn't new, but like feels like too much to handle right now, it just might be so much better to go somewhere else. And not that places don't have their own problems. They like everywhere
I'm
has
sure
their own
that
problems.
you'll get there and eventually you'll start to figure out and see.
But still, it's terrible. Like I'm stuttering right now because I'm going to say this and I know it's terrible, but I'm just going to say it anyway because you can't like avoid the truth. If white people say, oh, I was in a place and there were all white people and it felt good, like that would be terrible and that would be racist. But I was in Ghana and I didn't see white people for like 3 days and I didn't miss them. And I didn't feel like that's probably it's probably not a nice thing to say. But what I mean is like, it didn't occur to me that I didn't see them until I saw them on the third day.
Yeah.
And I was had never been like I'd never been in a place where I wasn't seeing white people or anybody else really. Like I didn't see any Asian people for a whole week. Like it took a while, and I had to go to certain places. So you have to go to the mall, you go to the city center where like everything is going. But if you're in one of the villages, like on the outskirts of town, they're like everybody just looks like you.
Well, your sense of perception, and then also your sense of protectiveness, right? When you're living in the U.S., we know our history. Mm-hmm. We know how people of color are being treated in this country, even till this day. Mm-hmm. You know, those that believe that slavery or that racism is a thing of the past, you're delusional. Seriously.
For real.
But when you go to a country and where everyone looks like you, everyone is you, it is your culture, and now it is for you by marriage. You don't have to think about those things that you constantly have, all those guards and walls that you've built in society to protect yourself, because everyone is like you.
And I mean, people can still be assholes, and people can still be jerks, and people can still be mean or nice or whatever. But you don't have to, I feel like you never have to worry about whether that's happening because I'm black or because I look a certain way or because I talk a certain way. Like there's sort of this baseline, and then you can just judge people for being a dick because they're a dick, right? Like
you can get the element of color out of it.
Yes, and in a way that you absolutely cannot here. And I just think about my boys, and the way that people treat brown boys, black boys here, and my big Lincoln is ginormous. Lincoln gained 10 pounds in the last month. We went to the doctor in July and he was 47 pounds. And when we got home from Ghana, he was 57 pounds. And unless the machine was absolutely broken, he gained 10 pounds in a month. I don't know how it happened, but he's humongous. And so unless he's peaking at 5, he's only going to get bigger. And I just think about the way that people look at him now, and it's like, you're cute now. It's like cute and sweet now at 3 and 4 and 5. And Emery is a handful. When he's 12, it's going to be a whole nother
different ballgame,
a whole nother thing. And so could I put them in a place where all of that stuff would be removed and they'd just be allowed to be kids, and either you are smart or you're not, or you're an idiot or you're not, or you're an asshole or you're not. You know what I mean? And let them be those things without not getting to figure out what those things are, because people
put barriers
in your way from jump. You know what I mean?
Just for the color of your skin.
So I really enjoyed the market, and I really enjoyed the food and the fashion and all of that stuff. But I've been thinking so much about could I be being a better parent? Would it make me a better parent to take my kids from this place? You know what I mean?
Would you consider I know that this is probably hell no, I wouldn't do that. But would you consider your kids boarding them in Ghana with a family and saying, "Hey, you're gonna go to school in Ghana for a year, and then you're gonna come back"? Would you be able to do something like that?
So it's so interesting, because that whole sending your kids home thing is totally a thing for Black and brown people. Puerto Rico, people get sent to India all the time. People get sent back home to Jamaica all the time, whether it's for the summer or for school or whatever. This sense or this idea of sending the kids back home, usually because mom and dad have to work, and it's hard to work all the hours of the day if you have the kids. But it's not an unheard. I have a cousin in my my aunt's son. She sent him home when she had him, and then he came back when he was 7. Even James was at home until he was 8 before he could come here when his parents were all settled. It's not a new, it's a thing for Black and brown people. I don't know if I could do it, but I think maybe I could figure it out, especially given that I went to boarding school. I wasn't in another country, but I wasn't at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I want to go. I don't know that I want to send them, because I also want to go.
She's still enamored with the whole experience of Ghana 2019.
I'm totally enamored with Ghana and being gone.
She had a
I would
hashtag for it. Literally, year of the return.
No,
I was
that's
like,
not mine. That's not mine. It was a thing. Okay, so let me tell you about the year of return. So Ghana, it was an like national marketing plan. I don't know. That's probably terrible, but it was a campaign. That's what it was. A campaign for the year 2019 is the year of return. It's like an open invitation for all like Black people of the diaspora to come back to Ghana. I think it marks like 400 years. I don't know if it's since slavery began or maybe since it began. There's some marker like that, but it was a whole thing, and it's for the whole year. And so they had a couple big events, and of course the events happened the week before I arrived. So we didn't get to go to those things, but it was really cool. So two things. It was really cool because you could see people who were there for the year of return. Like there are all these events, and you can pick out, I look American. I can see other Americans. We show up in like dashikis, and we're like super excited, like ankhs and Ankara signs, like symbols and stuff. You can tell American Black people who are like, I'm home. Like it's exciting. And actually, I was at the movie theater, and this Ghanaian British guy, so he's from Ghana, but he's living in the UK. He's like, oh, are you here for the year of return? And I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell the absolute truth. I was like, no, my husband's Ghanaian. Like, I'm here for family. I'm not here because of this thing.
Yeah.
But then I decided that was really kind of an asshole move because like, it actually, because I was like trying to distinguish. I was like, no, I'm authentic. My family's actually my like married family is Ghanaian, but it is unfair to distance yourself from that because I still am of the diaspora and I'm Black American and I'm coming back to Ghana, and I'm really glad that it overlapped with this time. So the year of return, 2019, Ghana's year of return is a thing for the whole year that Ghana itself was extending this open invitation.
Well, I stand corrected.
No, it's an open invitation. And actually beyond that, like in Ghana specifically, I don't know if any other countries are doing it, but the invitation is so open that if you wanted to, you could come, and it would be very easy for you to get, I don't know if you need a visa or some kind of like working situation papers in order for you to stay, and it would put you on a track to getting citizenship. Like they are open-armed, welcoming people.
That's amazing.
I don't know if it's as easy for people who aren't Black or of the diaspora, but it's like an open invitation, especially this year, for people to return. So yeah, it was. It's not mine. I was actually tagging it to make sure that it got caught up in the year of return stuff. But it's really incredible because some other places, and actually someone I was talking to, Vivian, was talking about how like her perception of the US is that it's so hard for anybody to go there and do anything, right? You have to have certain papers. You can't get out, you can't leave your country, let alone get into the US. But for Ghana wants people to come and sees it as a good thing for people to come from all over and come and set up and start businesses, right? There's probably a process, there's probably steps you have to take, but there's no red tape. Yeah.
There's no Donald Trump saying, no, I don't want you here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And not only that, but it also helps that the national economy, people are going back, they're seeing, hey, this could be a really good alternative to the US. I have all the amenities that I need.
Absolutely. And Accra is like Accra looks like New York City. Like there's so many people there. There's skyscrapers there, fancy. Like what's really cool about family, right? And an extended family is that you get to see all the different, you just get access to a bunch of different things, right? So some people in every family are fancy, and some people are not fancy, and some people are really not fancy, and some people are really, really fancy. And so because I was there for a good amount of time, I got to hang out with a bunch of different people. And so one of the aunties took us we went to a sushi bar. We went and had dinner at a sushi bar in a skyscraper. They have like a rooftop pool and bar. We didn't go to that. But we went to the sushi bar downstairs, and it was like a city vibe. It is a city vibe, you know. It's
Well, it is a city.
it is a city, and it is a fancy city. Like this idea, this one story of Ghana, like the spears and flies and sand. Like that's not what the place looks like.
But
that's
even
what some places look like.
But
that's
even
not
if
what
it
the whole
were,
place
a
looks
city's defined by the population,
like.
not so much by the buildings that exist within it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, to be
this
considered
is all of those things. This is all of those things. There are a lot of people in the capital, in Accra, and a lot of different areas. But when you're driving through there, there's like Deutsche Bank, there's Barclays, there's I'm trying to remember the name of this consulting firm. Deloitte. Like they're all of these things that I recognize. You know what I mean? They're
Santander's probably there.
Santander is there. Like they're just there's all of these recognizable things that if you were here and you only listen to the way that people talk about how poor Africa is and how like there's nothing in Africa, like you think that if you're going to go there, you have to pack. Like we were packing a bunch of stuff. Part of it is things are expensive because everything is imported, but we really didn't need to take anything because anything that we really wanted, we didn't have a washing machine. That doesn't mean our uncle didn't have a washing machine. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have a hot water heater. It doesn't mean the auntie didn't have a hot water heater. It just meant where we were, we didn't have one. But the like breadth of what people have access to, right, is real and is the same here.
Yeah.
You know, like some people have a shitty washing machine. Some people have no washing machine. Some people
go to the laundromat.
Some people go to the laundromat. Some people have ones that are on Wi-Fi. Like that's exactly the way it is in Ghana, and I imagine in other places in Africa. But just the way that we Americans, the rest of the world, talks about Africa.
Or any other place that's not America, actually.
Not America.
That's not the U.S.
Yeah.
You know, we think that, what we have here doesn't exist anywhere else.
I know. But I tell you, people aren't talking about us like that anymore. Like, no.
Oh, I know.
Like, friends are planning to take their families to Ghana or to go back home, wherever home is.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Or whatever.
Because you teed us off talking about, could you or would you pick up and leave America, and I say America, that's so uneducated. Pick up and leave the U.S. of A, because America's an entire, like, 3 continents, right? North, South, and Central. Could you just pick up and go and move, let's say, to Accra and go to Ghana?
I really want to say that I could. I really did not think that I could before this summer. But I really now want to.
I mean,
beyond
but
but
let's be realistic. One of my first experiences ever going away for a prolonged period of time was Miami. I went to Miami for 3 weeks on vacation. I'd come into some money. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself a fabulous time. And then I got there and I fell in love with Miami. But then I started to really think and sit down and say, okay, I'm loving Miami because I don't have to work. I'm here. I'm staying somewhere and I'm running around and getting to see all the pleasantries and all the really nice places that, you know, Florida has to offer. But what happens when I have to hunker down, get a place, go to work and do all that stuff to do, you know, to be able to survive, right?
Yeah. So the question is, could I go to Ghana and start a school? Hell yes, I could. Like, that's what I want to do.
So not only that, right? So you speak English. You are a college graduate. You could go there and start teaching English professionally.
They would love me. They do love me. I should go back.
And you already take care of kids, right? So you have experience with, for example, children. You could teach kindergarten. You could teach first grade, second grade. You know, it could be.
It could be a thing, okay? I'm dreaming about it at night. I don't know how I'm going to make it work. I think the biggest thing about moving away is moving away from your family. You know what I mean? And part of why this trip was so incredible is because I spent 3 weeks with so much extended family right in the house. You know what I mean? There were just people around to talk to when you wanted to talk. You had your room. You could go and lay down if you needed like a minute. But part of coming back, I was talking to a friend who's from Trinidad, and she was like, every time she goes home, she thinks, why am I here in the U.S. doing this by myself? You know what I mean? And in the house, in the family house, there are like 3 different families that live in the compound, and everybody has their own space, but they're still in the house. And so you can share certain things, or you can commune when you want to, or you can separate when you don't want to, but you're not isolated. And I feel since having been there and being a part of that, I now feel so isolated. Especially my family is in New York. James's family is in Massachusetts. Like, why is the goal? The goal has always been like, get grown and move away. And I don't understand now
well, I think
why
you also
that's
do that
always
because
been
of
our
the
thing.
employment, right? The employment opportunities and things that present themselves. Like, what brought you and James to New Haven?
Trying to get closer to my family because we were in
Did it work?
Massachusetts. Well, it had to be the midpoint.
Yeah.
It had to be the midpoint because I'm from New York and he's from Massachusetts. But I think culturally, in American culture,
You're right.
If I'm going to say honestly, like, it feels weird when you meet someone who's been living in the same place for 30 years. Like, you went to high school here and you live here now, and like, it feels weird. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't go out and see anything else.
But I moved away. I lived in New York.
All right, you moved away and you came back.
Yeah.
But there's some people who don't move away at all. They went to high school and they go to college. Like, maybe they go to college, or they do go to college, but they stay in the same town. And I'm just going to admittedly say, like, I think that's weird because part of what I think is in our culture is that you grow up somewhere and then you got to, like, move to the big city, or you move. I'm from a big city,
or
so
get
it's
out
a
of
little,
the household.
Get out
right?
of the whole household, or move. Like, every movie is about some small town person who's like got a dream and trying to get to the big city. You got to get to the big city. And so I'm from a big city, so you want to move to a different big city, right? I'm from New York, so I moved to Boston. Not a big city, but
we even
still.
do that. We even do that a lot too, in the way we reprimand our kids, right? Listen, when you're 18 years old, you can go out and do whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can go and live on your own and make your own rules and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
And so, I can tell you that the Asian community is very good for keeping family generations together.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that that's what you experience.
Yeah.
You go back home to Ghana and you see that, generations of family members stay within the
Yeah, and they don't have to be in the same house, but they're close by and can, you know what I mean?
And interact with each other in ways that we as Americans
don't value.
We've moved away from.
They don't value it at
Since
all.
the 60s, I believe, 70s. In the 70s is really when it started to, like, I'm going to go do my
even
own
in
thing.
the
It was
50s
rebellion.
with like, I feel like when they started layaway. You
God.
didn't have any money, but you could, like, pick up and go away far away because you could get a house, you could get a car, you could get whatever it was you needed. Part of the family, multi-generations living together is financial and is economical. You know what I mean?
From a financial point
of view, it makes sense. But once you were able to, like, get a hold of some money that you wouldn't have had before, then you could branch off and you can make your own decisions because you don't need anybody else. So I think we just don't value it the way that I guess we used to. And I wish we did. Now, I don't think my mom should, like, have a room down the hall for mine, but, like, could we live in the same village? Yeah. Could she have the house next to mine or on the block away from mine? Like, I would love that.
Like, look at that. She still even has some sort of separation from it. No, but I see, for example, in my culture, in the Puerto Rican culture, you do see where you have a lot of first, second, and third generation family members living in the same hood or in the same house and sharing spaces.
When I was little, we lived with my grandmother. So it was me, my mom, my grandmother.
As did I.
My aunt, my whatever. But we all lived in the same house and we sort of cycled through. It was like one apartment and we all cycled through it. And when you got on your feet, then you could move out into your own apartment. But we definitely lived 3 generations on, and then also, I think what happens now still, because so many people are still emigrating here, right? You get someone who's like an anchor, and then all of the family comes through that family member, right? Like,
well, unfortunately, that's no longer the doable case. Because,
okay, so that's a specific thing, right? Like the chain. Are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Anchors and chain migration.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I mean, just this idea that there would be someone there, and then you have a place to go to, and then when you get on your feet, you can move on onto your own into your
Melania.
own place. Yeah. Looking at you, Melania.
That's right. I'm looking at you. Make sure you remind your husband that's what you did. Anyway, no, but my thing is this. So to answer your question, you're saying yes, you could move to Ghana.
I want to.
Is there
I would miss my
there?
mom. If I could take my mom with me and my sister and all my people.
Would she go?
I don't know. But now I want to go next summer. I want to go to Belize. I feel like I just want to go to my places, right? So
experience culture.
We got to go to Ghana, which is where James's family's from. Next year, I really want to do the same thing and go to Belize, which is where my family is from, because when we were in Accra and around so many people that look like James, right? Like my kids were around kids that look like them. The whole family, like you can tell that family from a mile away. They're just all in the same family. There's something so incredible about being around people who look like you because you're family. You know what I mean? Like it's such a strengthening thing. And so I really would like to go and do that for like on my side of the family, to go and see people in Belize who look like me, they won't have my name because my mom is from Belize, but like to go and see those people, and then to go figure out where my dad is from and go find those people.
But you do know that experience is going to be much different, right? Because Belize is a little bit more diversified when it comes to color than Ghana would be.
Yeah.
So I think that your experience and the experience that your kids are going to have is going to be slightly different.
Maybe. Well, I should do it just to find out.
You should,
because
right?
Belize has got a whole like tourism thing going. It's like the ecotourism is really huge in Belize because
it's actually very cheap to buy there. So you have a lot of American
retirees and
that
stuff.
Are buying property there, moving there. So I think that your
it's gonna be different.
Exposure to other cultures is going to be more prominent in Belize than it would be in Ghana.
Yes. This said, Ghana is working hard at increasing and improving their tourism draw, or like their tourist bureau, like their Bureau of Tourism. I don't know, Minister of Tourism. I don't know what it's called, but because there are places in Africa that have a stronghold on like top places to be, like go on safari in Kenya or go to South Africa or go, like there are places that have done a really good job of positioning themselves as like the place to go in Africa. And then all the other like 100 countries that are in Africa don't have a marketing plan that's as good, but there's some incredible places that, like Nigeria is a beautiful place to go and visit, but it's got a bad rap right now, you know? Like there are other places that are incredible to go and visit, and they're just now figuring out how to get the word out that Ghana is a beautiful place and a place that you should want to come and visit. Like I've even seen that about other places. There's like places like Iraq are trying to improve the like tourism and the way that people look at their country to make people want to come and see them. Right now it's Dubai. Everybody wants to go to Dubai because like they're doing a really good job at marketing. These other countries need to up their marketing game to make sure that people know that they're a viable place, and that all of the things that people talk about or say about places in Africa or places in the Middle East and how they're like unsafe, like there are places in New Haven that are unsafe.
That's right.
If you're walking with your head down and your headphones in, like you can be unsafe anywhere, but you will miss out on so much like gorgeous, beautiful culture, people, places,
food.
Ugh. God damn the food. Like you will miss out on so much if you hide.
Listen,
you know
I can go anywhere in the world. Give me some good, tasty food, and I'm good to go.
I know the food is incredible, and I wish that I was better at spicy food because I probably would have had more of it. But tilapia is my new favorite thing because like Ghanaians know how to make tilapia. Like it's amazing.
It's a very common fish, which is good. So you can get it here and make it taste like Ghanaian tilapia, right? But you have to have that, and you have that experience now. So were you able to actually like interact in the kitchen?
No, because the kitchen is hot and I refuse to get involved. I'm
See?
sorry, that's terrible. That is so rude, and
see?
I apologize, but I could not get. I watched from the doorway and I was like, "Ooh, that jollof looks really good. I know it's gonna be tasty, but I can't get involved."
She's nasty.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta know who you are and be honest.
Yeah, it's so. Listen, I can have as many experiences as I possibly can in this world, but you put me in a place in where I am sweating like a pig. I'm not going to do anything other than try to find a way to cool off.
Look for a breeze.
What? Try to find a breeze anywhere. So cooking, cleaning, living, it's just not going to happen for me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was watching the kitchen from the window, from the doorway, but I couldn't get involved. And there were like jollof wars in the house, let alone different countries have their own. There's like jollof wars between Ghana and Nigeria and whoever else makes jollof, but like in the house. So like Papa's jollof is the best, or Mama Acey's is the best, or Enna's is the best. Well, she learned hers from Enna, or this one learned that. I mean, it's like jollof is a big thing. So if you've never had jollof,
I've never had it. So what is it?
Jollof it's rice. I mean, jollof is basically like a arroz con pollo.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a arroz con pollo. It's a rice dish that you can add anything to. So you can either have plain jollof, or you could put chicken in it, or you could put beef in it, or whatever. But it is rice that's cooked in a like veggie base. It's like a tomato, onion, bell pepper, and whatever other kind of like zhuzh things that each individual person makes, but you cook those vegetables and blend them, and that becomes your liquid, and you cook your rice in that liquid. So I've been told that your jollof lives or dies on the base. So if you can get that base delicious, then
the rest is easy.
Yeah,
the rest falls into place.
I don't know exactly how you make arroz con pollo, but like it's basically a dish that everybody, like all the cultures, have some kind of like rice.
Yeah.
Like kitchen sink.
We normally would put like a little bit of oil, and then we put our sofrito.
Right.
And sofrito's made with onions,
yeah,
garlic,
that's
and
true.
God knows
That is what sofrito is.
So you just throw it all in there, and then you add some sauce, like some tomato sauce, a little bit of salt for zhuzh.
Right,
is that what you said? And then, you can throw meat in there if you had it, and you sort of kind of let that all like boil up, throw the beans. And then at the end, you add the rice and let it steam.
Right. So that's what jollof is.
Jollof. Okay. Like, I'm going to have to find a Ghanaian place around here.
Well, yeah, you come when my mother-in-law comes back, because we need a new blender. We can't make any jollof in my house because James threw away all the NutriBullets. But the next time she comes, I'll let you know.
Definitely.
She always brings jollof. And to be completely honest, I tried a lot of jollof in Ghana while I was there for 23 days. And her jollof is the best. And I really want to believe it's not because she's just my mother-in-law. Like, it just is better.
So there you have it.
So shout out to Enna and her jollof, and Mama Acey. And like James's cousin also makes really good jollof, but I couldn't handle it because it was too spicy.
I love spicy. Send it all my way.
Yeah. So
awesome.
I guess we should end with, I'm going to continue thinking about how I can get away from here. And I think that it's just maybe trying to figure out how it feels weird to think that you're trying to go to a place where you feel like family would be closer together. But in order to do that, you have to leave your own family behind. Yeah. So it's a really weird place to be in my brain.
Yeah.
But I want to figure it out. So.
See, this is why, sometimes like parents are like, oh, maybe you should marry a nice little Latina or a Puerto Rican or someone in your culture.
The same as you.
The same as you, so that, you can make that a lot easier.
It's a trick to get you to stay nearby.
Exactly. So,
or to come home.
But, sometimes you venture out, and, one of the best things is that, for example, you're very open-minded about going places and visiting and having different experiences. And so I think that also has its pluses too.
Yeah. And there's such beauty in merging two different cultures. Because often people or the world will have you believe that black is just one thing, right? And you can either
And
like
it's not.
and it's really not. Like it's so different. So James and I are both black, but we're so different and so the same. You know
And
what I
so,
mean? Like
even culturally, right? Because
right, that's what I mean. Culturally, we are so different, but we also have so many experiences that are the same. So just because we're both black doesn't mean that we're culturally the same and that we don't have things that we can learn from each other or we can experience.
But even languages.
New things. Right.
Languages, the way you're brought up, you know, the dishes that you eat, the food that you gravitate towards, you know, that all of that is, you know, it's something that's common in all of humanity. Because we all come from and learn and speak different dialects of languages, and so, you know, it's a different experience. So you're right.
Yeah. So I really had a great time. And I think my favorite part of it is just now the way that my kids are talking about Ghana and talking about having been somewhere and about family that is there. And we were there long enough that they know these family members by name. They have nicknames for like they know their nicknames. They're asking about them now. They're asking when we're going to get to go back. They're thinking about their own culture in a way that I could not, I really don't think I could have given them outside of taking them there. Yeah. You know, like we can look at pictures, we can watch videos, we can, you know, all of that stuff we can do, but now they'll forever, even though Emery is only 3, at 5, I remember some stuff from 5, right? And I'm pretty sure they're going to remember those cold bucket baths. I'm pretty sure they're going to remember the chicken that were like, the goats that were walking by the front of the gate. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to remember certain things that will hopefully trigger other things. And I like really hope this isn't the only time we'll get to go. You know what I mean? So it'll just build. It will build.
But not only that, you've imprinted in them a sense of smell, a sense of touch, a sense you literally gave them a sensory experience.
Right.
And when you're able to do that, and you set out to do this from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
When you went there, you said what?
Well, I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Build memories.
We're going to build memories. Oh, yeah. It was a memory bank or something that Jessica was talking about.
Based on feeling, based on scent, based on interactions. I mean, you went there with a purpose, and I think that you did that.
We'll end on this because I was committed and confident that if I didn't spend time focused on them in that first week when we were there by ourselves, that we would miss out on that. And so in those first few days, we did all of those things. We went to the botanical gardens where they had an obstacle course. So like a lot of Lincoln's memories are about like climbing on this thing and going on this canopy thing and like being in this park and the park was so cool. And we did the park. We did the beach. We went to the village to visit some of my father-in-law's family, which was a whole experience of being in a village with like no real roads and chicken and goat and stray animals walking around everywhere. But I really tried to do as much as I could for them because there was no distraction of having all of the other people around. You know what I mean? And so I really think that a lot of their memories are going to be on that part particularly. Yeah. They'll obviously, hopefully remember some of the other stuff, but definitely some of those sensory things I set out to do. And then to be honest, I got lazy in the second half of the trip. So I was like, all right, I did everything I could.
You know, but here's the thing. Even if you're not actively looking to make them remember things based on a sensory type of reacting to things that they're doing, even things that they do on their own.
Yeah.
If they're playing outside, you know, the earth is different. The smell of the earth is different. The smell of the air, the way storms come through are totally different. You know,
the ocean. Oh, FYI, the beaches in Ghana are insane. They are not like here you go to the beach and it's like lapping water. It's at your toes. And you're like, ooh, this little water is cute. That's not what the ocean is like in Ghana.
You almost drowned out there.
Yes. I've only been twice, but every time I go to the water, it's trying to take us. So, you can do lots of like lazing around on the beach itself, on the sand, but be very careful when you get into that water because it is real ocean. It is not like a sound. I feel like most of Connecticut is sound.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a there's some kind of like barrier that we can't see that keeps us from being actually in the open ocean. No, this is the legit open ocean and it is not to be messed with.
Yeah.
It's not to be messed with. So it's not really a beachy, it's not like a lazy beachy
let's go for a
vacation.
swim type of place.
Yeah, it's not that kind of thing. Nope,
Yeah.
it's not that kind of. We thought we were watching someone drown. Like it's that kind of seriousness. You cannot mess around with that water. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It smells good. It sounds good. The food that comes out of the ocean is delicious. Just be careful when you go into it. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'll be back talking about this a little bit more because it's so like
so many experiences that you can't
really
just put it all into.
I really want to go back. I really want to go back and
take your producer with you.
I know.
We'll bring everything there. We'll just sit there and we'll just we'll do that. Welcome to Ghana podcast.
Welcome to Ghana podcast. Americans in Ghana.
Crazy.
Anyway, so that's it. I don't have any tips this week.
And that's okay.
I don't think. I mean, so many things are going on. I probably could have written something down. I probably should have written something down. It's not a tip, but what I will say is that remember we were talking about the fact that I went there by myself. I went with the boys by myself, and then I came back with James. I think it was easier to go on my own than it was when we came back all together, because when you're by yourself, you have you're hyper focused and you have to make it work. When you're with someone else, you're making assumptions about what you think the other person should be doing without actually telling them what you would like them to do or discussing who would do what and whatever. And so lots of things fall through the cracks.
Yeah. So you hold the kids.
Right.
I'm going to walk over here and go get our plane tickets.
Exactly.
And next thing you know, you've got one all the way down there because this one went to go get a Coke.
Exactly. So, so I guess my tip would be to make sure if you're traveling together, like two adults and kids or whatever, that you actually talk out loud about who's going to do what. Somebody's got to be in charge of the tickets and things, and someone's got to be in charge of the kids and things. You know what I mean? Like it's just, or you split up the kids and you've got one and I've got the other one, but you have to actually talk through that plan or else you really make assumptions and then I get annoyed based on what I thought you were going to do and you had no idea. You know what I mean? So,
and especially if you're doing international travel.
Yeah, 'cause
I mean, a lot of people don't know how hard it is to fly out of a country and where you can read and understand anything, and then land and do a layover in another country and where you really have to struggle to find the signs that recognize the language that you're here and this is where you should be going.
So thankfully in Ghana it's all in English, so that wasn't.
Did you do any layovers?
So we did Boston to DC to Ghana. So that was like the perfect. Okay. That was perfect.
When I people that land in they go to Poland, they go to like Warsaw and do like a layover.
Amsterdam is what I was trying to do. That's where I went last time, and I mean that stuff's in English too. But it's difficult.
Yeah.
I will say that stopping in DC and then being direct from DC to Ghana was way better because it's 10.5 hours is a long flight, but then you were there. The other way is like 8 hours to Amsterdam and then 8 hours to Ghana. Like it's too much.
Because of the layover and everything else. Yeah. Okay.
So if you can get a direct flight from the US to wherever you're going, even if you have to take some other flights in between, before you get to that one, I think it's better. So I enjoyed that. So yeah, I guess that was my tip, to make sure that you talk to your partner about who's doing what, and you delineate responsibility so that it's very clear on who's doing what, and then you don't have to worry about losing a kid. Oh, the last thing I'll add is when I was going by myself, I wrote my name and phone number on Emery's arm. Did you see that picture that I posted?
I did. So
Emery is a runner. He's very slippery. And And so I was just like, if you get away from me, literally nobody's going to know who you are. You're going to say your name and you're going to be very confident about it, but nobody else is going to understand you. So I wrote my name and my phone number on one hand, and I wrote his name and his age on his other arm. And then Lincoln wanted one too, because like, why'd you do it for him and not for me? So I did the same thing for him on both arms. And I posted that picture, and I got a lot of messages about people like having not thought about that. And I think the better thing to do would be to get some kind of bracelet or some kind of like necklace thing that
a little badge.
Yeah, a little badge that you can give your kids. But I didn't think about that until he was running away from me. And so I just pulled out a Sharpie and wrote my name on his arm.
Proud of you.
So if all else fails,
if you have a runner,
you should
fix it with a Sharpie.
You should fix it with a Sharpie. But anyway,
I think that should be the title episode. Fix it with a Sharpie.
Sharpie fixes everything. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in again and listening to this story again. I could probably talk about this 5 or 6 more times, but we'll be here next week and every week after that. Share the show with all your friends and come back. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. This show is produced by Tom Ortiz at Digital Stream Radio. It's available for download on Podbean. Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.